Sarah stood in the middle of her quiet living room that Thursday evening, reading her mother's message twice as if the words might change. Adam and Chloe are moving into your house next month, Brenda wrote, cheerful like she was announcing a family picnic. Sarah inhaled deeply and typed back, too late. I'm moving 300 miles away tomorrow. Saying it out loud felt strangely powerful. For 29 years she had been the steady daughter, the helper who never pushed back. But tonight something shifted in her chest. Silent, clean, final, like a lock clicking shut after being open far too long. Sarah could pinpoint exactly when her breaking point began forming. It wasn't the day she heard her parents telling Mr. Palmer that Adam needed most of the inheritance because Sarah always figures life out. It wasn't the graduation she attended alone because Brenda and Robert drove out of town to watch Adam's softball game, where he barely played. And it wasn't the $5,000 she loaned that vanished into yet another crisis. What truly pushed her was how casually they rearranged her life, her home, her future, without inviting her into the discussion as if her voice didn't matter. Growing up in Adam's shadow felt like living in constant dim light. Sarah remembered being 8 when Adam unwrapped a shiny new game console with multiple controllers and fresh games. 3 months later she received his old handheld device with jammed buttons. It still works, sweetheart, Brenda said brightly. When Adam joined basketball, her parents rearranged shifts to attend every game, even though he sat on the bench most of the season. Meanwhile, Sarah earned straight A's, won debate awards, and came home to certificates that stayed on the fridge for 3 days before being replaced by Adam's latest average grade. You've always been our little rock, Brenda told her often, smiling like it was affection instead of dismissal. Over time, Sarah learned it meant, you don't need support. The favoritism worsened as they grew older. Her parents paid fully for Adam's college, which he quickly dropped out of. Sarah worked 2 draining jobs to finish her degree with honors. She received a quick text saying congrats, and a small gift card. Adam's high school graduation, not even college, had been a backyard party with music, a catered spread and 70 people cheering. Still, Sarah kept hoping her effort would matter someday. By 27, Sarah saved enough to purchase a simple 3-bedroom house. She handled the mortgage, repairs, and furniture entirely on her own. She remembered turning the key for the first time and whispering, I finally did it. The house wasn't fancy, but it was hers, her pride, her proof of independence. Meanwhile, Adam bounced between jobs like he was trying them on for size. Retail, warehouse, customer service, never lasting more than a few months. Chloe's spending habits only made things worse, with designer outfits and a car lease bigger than their income. Together, they were a financial storm waiting for rescue. Adam treated work like something temporary, a short adventure he abandoned whenever things got inconvenient. He'd start new jobs talking big, saying, this one's different, Sarah. I'm really focused now. By week 4 he was calling in sick, complaining about managers or saying coworkers had bad energy. Chloe didn't help either. She spent money the second it hit their account. Restaurant meals, designer makeup, new phone cases every month. Their finances never balanced, and somehow Sarah always became the emergency contact. Just a little loan, Robert would say gently, like he wasn't asking her to clean up yet another disaster. Then came the cryptocurrency meltdown, the moment Sarah realized just how deep Adam's irresponsibility ran. After watching flashy online videos, he declared he'd discovered the path to wealth, and convinced Brenda and Robert to loan him $10,000. It's going to grow fast, Adam insisted, showing Sarah charts he barely understood. 3 weeks later the coin collapsed. His investment dropped to almost nothing. Did he take responsibility? Of course not. He shrugged and said, that's just part of the hustle. Meanwhile, Sarah watched her parents scramble financially while Adam jumped to his next idea like nothing had happened. Family gatherings turned into strange social experiments. Sarah would arrive after long workdays, still in office clothes, only to find Adam and Chloe already settled on the couch like royalty. They'd eat leftovers Sarah had brought the week before and barely acknowledge her when she walked in. Chloe wouldn't even look up from her phone before asking, hey, can you watch our dog this weekend? No greeting, just a request. And somehow, Sarah would still say yes because she'd been trained her whole life to carry the weight quietly. Meanwhile, relatives praised her kindness without ever offering real help. The night everything changed started innocently. Brenda texted early that morning, family dinner at 6:30. Don't be late. Sarah didn't think much of it until she pulled into her parents' driveway and smelled her favorite lasagna, something Brenda only made when she wanted something big. Inside, Adam was lounging in Robert's special recliner, the one nobody else was allowed to touch, while Chloe scrolled on her phone. They didn't greet Sarah, not even a nod. The dinner table was set with the special occasion dishes, and Sarah's stomach tightened. She felt the warning signs, but she sat down anyway. Dinner started with small talk. Robert asked about Sarah's work, but his eyes glazed over halfway through her explanation. Adam immediately began talking about his newest business dream. House flipping, he announced proudly. It's basically free money if you know what you're doing. He used phrases he clearly memorized from YouTube, waving his fork around while describing properties he hadn't even seen. Chloe leaned forward and added, "We found this cute little house online. It could sell for $300,000 after renovations." Sarah forced a polite smile. She already sensed something bigger, something calculated, was coming tonight. Halfway through dinner, Brenda cleared her throat in that familiar way that always meant trouble. "So," she began softly, "your father and I have been talking about Adam and Chloe's situation." Sarah nodded, preparing for another loan request. Brenda continued, "Their rent went up again, and with the baby coming..." Sarah froze. "Baby?" she interrupted. Brenda blinked dramatically. "Oh dear, we thought you knew. Chloe is 11 weeks along." Sarah turned to Chloe, who offered a smug smile. "Yeah," Chloe said, placing a hand on her stomach. "We're due in late April." Sarah swallowed hard. None of them had told her. "Anyway," Brenda continued, eager to move past Sarah's shock, "we found the perfect solution." She clasped her hands proudly. "Adam and Chloe will move into your house next month." Sarah stared at her, waiting for some sign this was a joke. None came. Robert leaned forward and added, "You have 3 bedrooms, sweetheart. That's too much house for one person. And the front room with the big window would make a perfect nursery." Chloe perked up. "I was thinking pale yellow," she said casually. "And maybe upgrading the flooring. You know, for the baby." Sarah felt the room tilt. They weren't asking. They were announcing. Brenda patted Sarah's hand like she was doing her a favor. "This way you won't have to maintain such a big place alone. It's really what's best for everyone." Adam leaned back smugly. "Yeah, we figured we'd move in early next month," he said. "That gives you about 3 weeks to pack and figure out where you'll stay." 3 weeks. Her own brother giving her a deadline to vacate her own home. Sarah felt something inside her crack. Not loud, not explosive, but final. "That sounds reasonable," she said calmly, surprising even herself. The table relaxed instantly. Brenda exhaled with relief. Robert nodded approvingly. Adam and Chloe exchanged happy glances, already acting like the house was theirs. Chloe tapped her phone excitedly. "I've already saved some nursery furniture," she said. "The window in that room gets perfect light." Sarah listened silently, smiling when required, nodding when expected, all while her heartbeat thudded painfully. When she finally escaped to her car that night, her hands were trembling violently. She sat in the driveway for 10 full minutes before the tears came, quiet, hot, exhausting tears. Then she wiped her face and made a decision. 2 months earlier, her boss offered her a major promotion in Chicago. Lead compliance analyst, 35% raise, relocation package, everything she had worked toward. But when she shared the news, Brenda called it unnecessary stress. Robert said the cost of living was too high, and Adam laughed and said, "You, Chicago? Please." So Sarah declined. But now Chicago felt like freedom. That night she opened the old email thread, typed a single message and hit send. "If the offer is still available, I'd like to accept the position." The response came in 20 minutes. "We'd love to have you." Her boss asked, "How soon can you start?" Sarah typed back, "November 1st. It was the exact date Adam had generously assigned for her to vacate her own home. The universe had a sense of humor. The next morning, Sarah called 3 real estate agents until she found one who specialized in fast sales. The agent toured the house that afternoon, complimented the location and said, "If we price it slightly under market, you'll get offers quickly." They listed it the same day. Photos were taken, paperwork completed, and by Monday her house was officially on the market. For the next 3 weeks, Sarah played her role flawlessly. When Brenda texted, "Are you packing?" she replied, yes. When Adam asked if she'd leave her TV mounted, she said, "We'll see." When Chloe called to ask paint color questions, Sarah answered vaguely, "I'll let you know." She wasn't lying, she simply wasn't telling the truth they wanted. Meanwhile, she packed room by room, sold furniture, hired movers, and arranged her new Chicago apartment. Adam texted her one long message 3 days before his move-in date, thanking her for being such an amazing sister. Sarah didn't respond. On her final night in the house, Sarah slept on an air mattress in the empty living room, staring at the ceiling she'd painted herself. She wondered briefly whether she was being too harsh. But then she remembered Adam smirking at dinner and Chloe planning renovations in a house she didn't own. She remembered years of being second place in her own family. The guilt vanished. At 6 the next morning, movers arrived and loaded everything with swift efficiency. By noon, Sarah signed the closing documents, shook hands with the excited young couple who bought the house and handed over the keys. The new owners mentioned meeting the neighbors. They said someone named Adam was planning to move in. The wife laughed. Sarah kept her expression neutral. No idea who that is. By 2 p.m. Sarah was driving toward Chicago, music loud, windows down, new life waiting. Around 3:30, just when Adam and Chloe were probably arriving at their house, her phone started buzzing nonstop. He didn't look. He didn't care. When she finally parked outside her new apartment at 7 p.m., she had 63 missed calls and more than 100 messages. She smiled, carried her bag inside, and ordered dinner. While eating Thai food on her empty living room floor, she finally checked the messages. Brenda's voicemails swung from confused to furious to devastated. "Sarah, what is going on? Adam is at your house and strangers are here with a deed." Robert's texts demanded answers. Adam's messages jumped from disbelief to rage. Chloe wrote dramatic paragraphs about being homeless with a baby. Extended relatives chimed in with guilt trips. Sarah scrolled through everything silently, then typed one message to the family group chat. "I accepted a promotion in Chicago. I sold my house. Good luck with everything." Then she blocked all of them. Sarah turned her phone off after blocking everyone, stood up and walked slowly to her new bedroom. The silence felt different, not empty but clean. For the first time in years, there was no buzzing, no guilt, no emergency she was expected to handle. She took a long shower, letting hot water wash away the last traces of her old life. That night she slept on an air mattress again, but it felt strangely luxurious. No one knocking on her door, no chaotic calls, no family drama. Just peace. Pure quiet peace. She whispered into the darkness, "I should have done this sooner." 6 months passed and Chicago became home in ways Sarah hadn't expected. Work was better than she imagined. Her new team respected her, her boss trusted her judgment, and she finally felt seen. She earned another raise, then a promotion to lead analyst for the entire compliance division. Her co-workers invited her out for dinners, movie nights, and weekend trips. She laughed more in 6 months than she had in 6 years. She even started dating someone she met at a conference. A financial risk analyst named Daniel who listened, supported her dreams, and treated her like she mattered. She kept her distance from her family, receiving updates only through Rachel, an old co-worker who loved hometown gossip. According to Rachel, Adam and Chloe had moved into Brenda and Robert's basement, temporarily. But temporary stretched into months. 3 adults, 1 baby, and 2 exhausted parents living in a small house never meant for that many people. The cryptocurrency disaster worsened after Sarah left. Adam had secretly opened credit cards in Brenda and Robert's names, maxing them out before the coin collapse. Their retirement savings vanished. Rachel's exact words were, "Your parents look 10 years older." Brenda and Robert were now facing foreclosure. They'd taken out a second mortgage to cover Adam's mess, but the payments became impossible. Rachel said Robert's blood pressure was dangerously high and Brenda cried at work regularly. Adam finally got a job at a big box store, folding clothes and stocking shelves for low pay. Chloe worked at a coffee shop for a few weeks but quit after she was asked to come in on weekends. "It's too stressful for a new mom," she complained to coworkers. The cycle continued, blame, excuses, and zero accountability. Sarah listened to each update calmly. When Rachel told her the baby had been born, a little girl named Sarah, the news stunned her. Chloe had apparently chosen the name as a peace offering, hoping it would soften things. Sarah didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Naming a child after someone you mistreated didn't erase the past. Still, Sarah felt an unexpected tug of compassion. The baby was innocent. That night, she researched trust funds, hired a financial attorney, and quietly set up a scholarship fund in the child's name. It would mature at 18, untouchable by Adam or Chloe. "She deserves better," Sarah whispered. As months passed, more relatives tried contacting Sarah through friends, coworkers, and even LinkedIn. They all carried the same message: "Your parents want to talk." Sarah ignored every attempt. But one envelope, forwarded from her old P.O. box, made her pause. The handwriting was shaky but familiar. "Mr. Palmer." She opened the letter slowly, reading each line with growing emotion. He apologized for not defending her more and admitted he'd believed the family's narrative for too long. "You were always strong because you had no choice," he wrote. "I've changed my will. You'll get what's fair." Sarah cried quietly while reading the letter. It was the first time someone from her family acknowledged her pain without excuses. 2 months later, Mr. Palmer passed away peacefully in his sleep at 92. Sarah flew home for the funeral but kept her distance. She sat in the back row, left immediately afterward, and returned to Chicago that same day. A week later, the lawyer's office called about the will reading. Sarah went expecting nothing. Instead, she learned Mr. Palmer had left Adam $1, Brenda and Robert nothing, and everything else, house, savings, investments, to her. Brenda and Robert tried to contest the will, claiming Mr. Palmer was confused when he made the changes. But the medical evaluations attached to the documents proved he was mentally sharp. The lawyer shut their case down instantly. Adam reacted worse. He shouted, accused Sarah of manipulating their grandfather, and even slammed a chair before security escorted him out. It didn't matter. The estate transferred to Sarah legally and fully. She used part of it to buy a beautiful condo in Chicago, paying for it outright. The rest she invested carefully, making sure her future would never depend on anyone else. Meanwhile, Chloe finally reached her limit. After months of financial chaos, daily arguments, and Adam's inability to take responsibility, she packed her bags, took the baby, and moved to her parents' home 2 states away. She filed for divorce, citing emotional negligence and financial deception. Adam was left living with Brenda and Robert in their small rented apartment after the foreclosure, all 3 pretending they were victims of some outside force instead of their own decisions. Rachel sent Sarah updates occasionally. Each one felt like a reminder of how different life looked when she stopped carrying everyone else's weight. One morning, Sarah sat on her condo balcony drinking coffee when her phone buzzed with a message from a family friend. "Your parents want to know if there's any chance to reconcile." Sarah stared at the screen for a moment, then typed a single sentence. "There's nothing to reconcile. I'm not coming back." She put her phone down, breathed in the Chicago air, and smiled softly. For the first time in her life, she belonged to herself completely. There were no crises to fix, no expectations to meet, no guilt weighing her down. Just freedom. Real earned freedom. Sarah settled comfortably into her new life, but the final echoes of her past still tried to reach her. Occasionally, she'd overhear relatives from her hometown speculating about why she abandoned her family. The stories were always twisted. Claims that she'd suddenly become selfish or that success had changed her. Sarah no longer felt the need to defend herself. One evening, Daniel asked gently, "Do you ever miss them?" Sarah paused before answering. "I miss the idea of what family should have been," she said quietly. "But I don't miss how they treated me." Daniel nodded, squeezing her hand. Work flourished for Sarah as her team expanded. She was invited to speak at conferences, mentor younger analysts, and even represent her company in major negotiations. Her boss often said, "You were meant for leadership, Sarah. You just needed the space to grow." In her old life, she'd never imagined being trusted with so much responsibility. Now she handled it confidently. Whenever self-doubt crept in, she remembered the girl who worked 2 jobs, paid her own tuition, and bought a home alone. That girl had always been capable. She'd just been surrounded by people who benefited from her strength. Meanwhile, Rachel continued supplying updates from back home, usually with a dramatic sigh. One afternoon she called, laughing so hard she could barely speak. "You will not believe this," she said. "Your brother tried to start a home renovation YouTube channel." Sarah blinked. "What?" Rachel continued. "He filmed 1 video, just one, and he destroyed a bathroom wall he couldn't fix. The landlord was furious. Brenda cried. Robert yelled. Adam blamed bad instructions online. Sarah shook her head with a mix of disbelief and tired amusement. He hasn't changed at all, she said. Rachel replied, nope. But you have. Sarah rarely thought about the inheritance anymore, though its impact was obvious in her daily stability. Sometimes she'd open her windows and look around her condo, amazed that peace could feel this normal. She'd furnished each room with care, soft rugs, warm lighting, quiet colors. Nothing extravagant, just comforting. A few times she caught herself thinking, my old family would have never let me have this. But then she corrected herself. They hadn't let her have anything. She built this life because she stopped waiting for permission. She stopped giving pieces of herself to people who only took more. One cold Saturday morning, Sarah received an unexpected letter. This time it wasn't from family. It was from the attorney handling her niece's future trust. He confirmed everything was officially finalized, protected, and sealed. No one except the child herself would access it at 18. Sarah felt a warm ache in her chest. At least one person in that house will have a chance, she whispered. She didn't plan to ever reveal her involvement. The point wasn't recognition. The point was breaking the cycle that had harmed her. The little girl named after her would never know what sacrifice built her future. Chloe, now living with her parents, occasionally posted long emotional messages on social media about starting over. Rachel sent screenshots sometimes, but Sarah skimmed them without real interest. She felt no anger toward Chloe, just distance. As for Adam, he spiraled further. He blamed everyone but himself. The economy, his managers, YouTube tutorials, even the weather. Brenda and Robert enabled him as always, and the three lived in cramped frustration. They're like a pressure cooker, Rachel joked. Sarah simply said, they made their choices. She wasn't being cruel, she was accepting truth. Responsibility can't grow where accountability doesn't exist. Months later, Daniel invited Sarah to spend Thanksgiving with his family. She hesitated before saying softly, I haven't had a real holiday in so long. Daniel smiled warmly. Then let's make this a new tradition. His family welcomed her with open arms, asking about her work, offering extra dessert, insisting she take leftovers. At one point, Daniel's mother hugged her and said, you're part of the family now. Sarah blinked back tears she didn't expect. She had never been treated as someone worth celebrating. That evening as they drove home she whispered, this is what family should feel like. The following spring, Sarah took a quiet walk through a nearby park. Children played, dogs tugged on leashes, couples shared coffee on benches. She felt a calm she couldn't have imagined during her old life. She thought about the house she once owned, the people who expected to take it, and the fear she once felt about leaving everything behind. Now she smiled at the memory. Losing that house was never the tragedy her family claimed. It was the liberation she needed. Sometimes life gives you a door. Other times you build your own and walk through it anyway. Rachel called one afternoon with one final update. Your parents and Adam still tell everyone you betrayed them, she said. Sarah laughed lightly. Let them, she replied. Truth doesn't need their approval. Rachel hesitated. Do you ever think you'll talk to them again? Sarah's voice softened but remained steady. No. I don't hate them. I'm just done living in pain they refuse to see. Rachel exhaled. I'm proud of you, you know. Sarah smiled. I'm proud of me too. For the first time she truly meant it. She wasn't surviving anymore. She was living. One warm evening, Sarah sat on her balcony watching city lights flicker like quiet stars. She thought about the girl she used to be. The one who always stepped aside, always sacrificed, always waited to be chosen. That girl had finally chosen herself. She leaned back in her chair, feeling the steady thrum of Chicago beneath her feet. Her phone buzzed with a message from Daniel. Dinner tonight? Sarah smiled. Yes, she replied. As she stood to get ready, she whispered to herself, this is my life now. Not borrowed, not stolen, not shared out of obligation. Fully hers. Completely free.